Welcome back to another episode of TLG Talks. I'm Jon Nieh, one of the partners at Trowbridge Law Group, and this is the show where we interview people in the real estate industry and the syndication space. Ask some questions about how they get started, advice for first timers. And today I'm joined with a very special guest, Mr. Austin Hartley. Thank you for joining me. Austin is a graduate of Colorado State University. He is an experienced real estate broker and investor, as well as the host of the Passion First podcast with the mission statement of impact, influence, and ignite the lives around you. Austin aims to help others create a passion-filled life and to achieve time and financial freedom for themselves. Austin started the Passion First podcast with the goal of sharing the experiences, knowledge, tools, and systems of successful investors, business owners, and entrepreneurs that have also taken risks to follow their dreams to helping others do the same. Along with the podcast, Austin also produces online courses to help educate people on everything from real estate, travel, real estate investing, and podcasting. Austin's been featured on CBS, Yahoo, Fox, New York Weekly, as well as numerous notable podcasts. Personally, he is a former collegiate athlete and loves fitness, Star Wars, and is active in his community and church. Thank you so much for joining us, Austin. Pleasure having you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I have to ask before we get into, real estate and stuff, as a self-described Star Wars fan, and, you have a lightsaber behind you, what did you think of the last movie, The Rise of Skywalker?
I'll be completely honest, the full last three movies, the new trilogy, I've been pretty disappointed with. I haven't been super happy with Disney. It's kind of hurt my childhood and my love for Star Wars a little bit. But I played the new Star Wars game that came out. I think it was like the Fallen Order, and it was actually pretty good. It was a short campaign, but good story, good graphics as far as movement of everything. But I'd really like them. I don't know if you're familiar with too much of the canon. Are you familiar with the Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, the MMO RPG.
I wish they would come out with some movies on that. I think that'd be a good side canon story. But
who's the guy in that?
Revan and Malik, and there's a whole nother universe for Star Wars nerds and General Republic to get exposed to.
Yeah. Well, The Mandalorian has been pretty good. So
I have really liked The Mandalorian. That's been really good. They did a good job with Baby Yoda, getting a whole bunch of people that aren't super into Star Wars just because of the cuteness factor. Yeah. So I've enjoyed that show. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. So you graduated Colorado State University. What was your major at CSU?
Yeah, so I was a business major with a double concentration in finance and real estate.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you knew from the get-go you wanted to do like real estate?
No, I just felt like if I was going to go to college, a business degree was pretty versatile and I could actually use it. There weren't too many finance majors. My dad worked in real estate, so I thought, that'll be easy. It's kind of interesting. At that point, I didn't know I wanted to be in real estate. What I originally thought I wanted to do was be a financial advisor. I have a real passion for helping people become more financially literate, just because I grew up with not a lot of money. I saw my parents really struggle and just the strife that took on them. And I didn't want people to have to go through that. I didn't want to have to go through that. And so I thought I'll be a financial advisor. I did some internships in college. And for me, based on those internships, I felt like it was a lot of helping people that already had money create and keep their money, but it wasn't really helping the lower class learn how to create wealth. And after I graduated, I thought I wanted to be a pilot. I looked into becoming a commercial pilot, got some hours in, and really enjoy that as a hobby and activity, but decided I didn't want to be in my mind, a slave to this hierarchy of who has the most hours. And it's not quite a 9 to 5, but you have someone dictating when you're working, when you're not. I really wanted to be in control of my time and my life. be able to live where I want, be able to go where I want. And I realized the only way that I was going to be able to do that was through business and real estate. There's more millionaires created in real estate than any other industry. And it just gives you time flexibility that I haven't seen anything else be able to provide. And that was really important to me, to be able to have that time flexibility. If I have a friend in town, I can go see him. If I want to take a vacation, we were just talking, I just got back from Hilton Head. I can do that. I have the freedom to do that. And that was really important. And so my dad's actually a real estate broker here in Colorado. We're actually partnered together now. But when I was a kid in college, I really didn't want to do what my dad did. I told myself, I don't want to do what my dad does, but just getting more exposed to real estate investing, I decided that's what I want to do. And I have the personality of a broker. I'm very good at the brokerage side, and it's really a great stepping stone for me to build credibility, build relationships, and get into a full-time investor role. But we're still working on that.
Yeah. Well, when was your first deal that you did?
First deal was 2017. That was my first real estate transaction on my own. I had worked with my dad, and he had worked in an office at that time, at a Remax office, and I worked with a managing broker who was in commercial real estate. So he did a lot of land development, commercial properties, and that was really cool because I got a very unique experience for someone getting into the industry to be exposed to that commercial side, the land development. I did a lot of new construction as well, and that was really valuable in just making sure I was well-rounded. There's way too many agents out there that have no understanding of the real estate investing sphere, commercial sphere, new construction. So I felt like that was really helpful. So I helped them with deals. But my first deal was 2017. And so I've been in real estate for about 5 years and have been full-time for working as an agent for coming up on 4.
What kind of property was the first one? Or what kind of properties do you guys focus on, I guess?
Yeah, so I now focus in the Denver metro area. That first property was just a single family. I think it was like a 3-2, like $300,000 in northern Colorado, like real basic home. Now we really have a luxury branch, but we work with everyone. I mean, I've sold everything from module homes all the way up to multi-million-dollar luxury homes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so quite the spread.
Yeah. Talk about some like the challenges, I guess, you faced with some of the deals that you've worked on the last few years.
Yeah, so part of running into some challenges is why I created some of the online courses, is because I feel like a lot of buyers, especially people that have only bought 1 or 2 houses, or maybe you've lived in your house for 20 years and you haven't bought a house in a while, there's a lot of questions. The process can seem really confusing to people, but if you have a good team surrounding you, it can be a pretty smooth process. But something we've run into right now is just the Denver market is insanely hot. It's, in my opinion, unhealthy as far as going towards such a strong seller's market. We don't have enough inventory right now. There's tons of buyers. So what we're running into is it's a bidding war every weekend. I think I have like 35 showings this weekend, running around from property to property, working with like 5 different clients. And I have to set the expectation that we need to be pre-approved. We need to be ready to make an offer this weekend, and we need to be ready to make offers above ask. And so setting those expectations can be difficult. I also think it can cause some issues just in the market where, I think it was like a month ago, I showed a house and they had 100 showings in 2 days, 17 offers, and the house sold for over 120,000 above list. That's just not feasible for a healthy market and for the average buyer to be competitive in. So we really need a lot more inventory. And what we're running into is with COVID, with the election, there's a lot of uncertainty. So a lot of sellers are holding off from selling their properties right now. So that's probably the biggest challenge that we're running into in the current market.
So I'm sure you're aware of like our firm and what we
Yep.
practice, right? Like syndications. Have you guys ever considered about syndicating any of your deals?
Yeah, so syndication is something that I am extremely interested in. I think it's one of the best asset classes and things you can do as an LP or GP. Incredible way to build wealth, grow your wealth. And I think you have a lot more control than just investing in the stock market. I think you diversify, but I think it's an asset class that's not really well known. I don't think the general public knows what a syndication is. And maybe I should just explain. I mean, people watching your show probably know, but basically what Gene's explained to me, I've asked him this question is, and you can probably tell me better than I know, but just a pooling of funds into investment to grow. Even use an example of a movie, pooling funds, skills to create. But what we're talking about is specifically probably multifamily syndications where there's a general partner operator that has experience operating apartment complexes efficiently, lowering expenses, increasing rents to market value, doing a value add approach to fixing up the building itself. And in commercial real estate, everything's based on the numbers. That's, I think, one of the key aspects is the scalability of commercial real estate. And then the fact that everything is based on the NOI and how profitable it is. Those are two of the reasons I really, really love multifamily syndications, is because you can, within a year, completely change a property and move it from class C to class B, increase the values astronomically, and it's all based on the numbers. It's also scalable. You can hire a property manager to manage those 100, 200, 500 units, where in residential, everything is based on emotion, comps. There's a lot of illogical thinking when you're going through a transaction, and it's not as easily scalable when you have 100 renters, even if it's all in the 100 rentals, even if it's all in the same city, to manage that versus one apartment complex.
So why haven't, I guess, what's kind of like holding you guys back from venturing into that space?
So I would say when I got into real estate and became an entrepreneur, I struggled with what I'd call a shiny object syndrome, where I chased every opportunity right away. And I truly feel like I was trying to skip levels and steps in my development. I was trying to just become a multifamily syndicator, general partner. And I had to take a step back and learn that, yes, I know more than the average person, but I'm also still in my 20s. I got a lot to learn. And probably the average person isn't going to hand me $1 million just to operate a deal and do something that I've never done. And I had to step back and build my active income. And so that's what I've been doing the last year, and probably what I'm going to do this coming year is building the brokerage to the point where I can step away from the day-to-day activities. I still have a strong active income that's growing. And then I'm starting to invest and start building my investment firm. I have a couple partners here in the Denver area that have done some single family deals. But my goal long-term is to transition into a full-time commercial multifamily syndicator.
Okay.
But I think it takes some time. You have to build your expertise, build your network, and build your income. So
build your track record first and foremost. So when did you start the Passion First podcast? How long have you been doing that for?
It's been about a year now. I've been doing it for a year. I'd wanted to start a podcast since 2016, but just to be honest, I was afraid of kind of putting myself out there, being vulnerable. I was scared of the rejection and just being judged, and kind of had some imposter syndrome going on as well, feeling like, who am I to start a podcast, right? And since starting it, it's probably my favorite thing that I do. I love the podcast. I love talking to people, just sharing information, learning from incredible people like yourself, like Gene. And it's been incredible to also see how much that's opened up my personal network of people that I'm connected with, how many people have reached out and just complimented the conversations that we've had, say, hey, I learned a ton. Thank you for producing that. And so I think that's been a really valuable asset. And one of the reasons I've started that is to build a personal brand, build the credibility and trust. So as I transition into a full-time investor, I already have a platform, a personal brand to build off of that.
Any tips for us? Because we're just like starting out with our podcast. I'm sure you've been doing it for about a year now. Like tips for us and how to like grow it, get more viewers.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people that have reached out, kind of just asking for questions and how to start. A few things would just be kind of operation systems. I mean, when I first started, I was doing all my video editing, producing, scheduling, everything. But now I've hired on a video editor. I have some assistants that help me with a few things, and it's fairly affordable. So I'd just say, as far as growth, the consistency is key in the release. And then I've had several people ask me, like, how did you get so-and-so on your podcast? And I was telling them, I simply messaged them. I said, hey, I think you're awesome. I love what you do. This is my show. This is what I do. I'd love to have you on. If you're interested, just send me an email. I'll send you the invitation. And the invitation is super simple, kind of gives them a brief tidbit about me, kind of my social media, that gives them an overview of the show, what kind of questions I ask, kind of the goal of the show, and then a Calendly link. So they could schedule at a time that's convenient for them, typically a couple of days out, all the way to like 120 days, because some people are really, really busy. And I just went out, asked people. As far as growth, I think I would keep control of the podcast, keep your messaging and values in place, and just reach out to people. I would also guest appear on other podcasts and kind of get that message out. I would do some social media branding, which you guys do a great job of. Continue to grow that, and then being consistent with those releases. All that I think is important. I don't know. There's a lot that you can kind of go into on creating podcasts.
That's probably like a whole nother podcast subject. Right? We could have a whole nother episode just about that, right?
Yeah.
So you also mentioned in your bio that you have online courses that you offer to people for real estate, travel, real estate investing.
Yep. So working on the release of a couple of them. The podcast hasn't released, travel hasn't released, but those are free courses that you can find on Udemy, teachable.com. I'm probably going to release them on LinkedIn Learning as well. And again, that's just to help educate people. Again, it's building that credibility and trust. I'm big on this century is going to be business is based on value first. If you give someone value, they're going to build that relationship with you. They're going to trust you, and they're going to want to do business with you. I think Gene is a great example of that. I've been teaching giving value for 40 years and is recognized as one of the top experts in the industry because of that. And so I've just adopted that philosophy, and that's why I put out the free content and courses. I do plan to release some paid courses in the future, but that'll be down the pipeline.
I'm curious about the travel one. What kind of things do you talk about in that travel course?
Yeah, so I don't know if you can see my scratch map back here, but it's one of those maps where you scratch off any place that you've been. Obviously, I haven't been to Antarctica yet, and then I have this painting from Thailand. And so I like to do a big backpacking trip at least once a year internationally, anywhere from 3 weeks to a couple months. And just a real passion of mine. I think that the benefits of traveling are incredible. And so the course covers everything on how to do that effectively and inexpensively. Covering everything from like how to pack your bag and what kind of bag to buy, little hacks. Like I'll give you one right now. One thing that really saved me was getting gallon Ziploc bags, packing a day's worth of clothes in there, and then putting a dryer sheet in there and zipping that up, because it condenses your clothes, keeps your clothes smelling good. So even when you have dirty clothes, those dirty clothes aren't making your other clothes stink. So it's just like a little quick tip there. Talking about like hostels, how to find hostels, review hostels, get good deals, travel plans, and then just all the benefits of traveling. I'm a pretty conscientious person. I like to plan. I like to be orderly. But there's something magical about just getting completely lost in a city, meeting people from completely different backgrounds where just the simple mundane things of life can be an interesting conversation from people from just different worlds, and just how that can really open up your perspective and grow you as an individual. That's what the course would be about.
Cool. Yeah, I'm kind of interested. I'll probably sign up.
Yeah, I had a good friend of mine, Elliot Clark, on my podcast, and we talked about travel and his experience. And he has some really cool goals of like getting a motorcycle and biking through South America, and getting a horse and riding across Mongolia, and just really experiencing life on a pretty deep level that I don't think a lot of, especially Americans, ever get to experience. Travel is a big part of Australians. A lot of them travel a lot. In the UK, Europeans, they travel quite a bit, but Americans really don't travel that much. And I think they lose a lot of benefits from that. So I'm trying to be an advocate for that.
Yeah. I guess with COVID right now, it's kind of hard to travel internationally, but what's the next destination, I guess, on your list?
Yeah, well, speaking of that, I was actually going to do a 100-day trip around the world in 2020. I was going to do like 45, 50 spots on that, spend about 3 days in each spot, circumventing the world, and wanted to do kind of like a little travel vlog with that. But with COVID and with regulations where they're at, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I personally think as 2021 goes on, things will start to open back up. I don't think things will be completely normal until maybe 2022. But I think I could probably do a pretty large trip by spring, summer 2021, hopefully. But we'll see what happens.
Any idea of where you want to go? Or you still want to do that around the world?
We'll have to kind of see with the round of world on what's open. But one area I'd really like to spend some more time is the Mediterranean and Middle East. I'd love to go to Israel, Turkey, Greece, Santorini, Croatia, see the pyramids and Petra and Jordan. I think would be a really cool experience. That's kind of top of my list right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have you done quite a bit of traveling?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Japan once. I went to Thailand a couple of years ago for a friend's wedding, actually.
Awesome.
He got married on like a little tiny private island in Thailand, which is fun. But yeah, I mean, I love road trips, so I do a lot of like camping, driving across like states and stuff.
There's so much to see in the U.S. as well. There's a lot to see. So if COVID takes a while to open back up, I think that's probably what I'll do, is try to see a lot more of the places here in the U.S. that I haven't had the opportunity to see yet. Yeah,
totally. Sorry, our conversation kind of like shifted from like real estate, and we got focused on traveling because, I mean,
see, I think a lot of people are interested in traveling. I think it's a lot more. It's more popular with our generations than some of the older generations. Like my parents don't really travel at all. Besides to like one spot in Mexico, that's just their favorite. So.
I guess to kind of wrap things up, to take it back to the real estate topic. Any advice for people that are thinking about getting started out or just getting started out? Things that you wish you might have done differently.
Yeah, I would say I had a big life event that helped me kind of refocus and decide what was going to be important in my life and who I wanted to be. And that kind of started my self-development and growth mindset. And I'd say that's really where you need to start. That's kind of ground zero. And that's reading great books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think Rich, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, The Compound Effects, getting into that. And then something I wish I did sooner rather than later was getting a mentor and start networking and getting part of masterminds and just surrounding myself with people that are doing what I want to do quicker. I've done it, but it took me a while to start doing that. Just like the podcast, I felt like people don't want to talk to this young kid who doesn't have anything to offer, but that's not true. I had a lot to offer people. I just had to figure out what that was and how I could help people. And something I found, and I think needs to be said, is that people that are successful typically want to help others be successful. I think in America, we have this false belief that rich, successful people are these evil people hoarding their money and the secrets of wealth, when in reality, I think people like Robert Kiyosaki, Dale Carnegie are so incredibly giving. Like the book here that I have, The Go-Giver, tells a really good narrative story of how giving successful people are. You just have to prove that you're going to be accountable and actually take action on what they're sharing. And so take action. Find some mentors, find some people that are doing what you're doing. If you're interested in multifamily syndications, get connected to Gene and Jon. And there's so many great people. Contact me. I'd love to help in any way that I can. But just take action, surround yourself with people that are doing what you're doing. And then one thing that's really difficult and something that I still struggle with is if you've had friends and you guys are starting to drift apart and want different things in life, and maybe they're happy with their 9-to-5 job and partying on the weekends and living for the weekend lifestyle, and that's not something that you want anymore, it's time to kind of start changing that relationship. And if they want to grow with you eventually, great. I'm not saying you have to stop those relationships completely, but if you surround yourself with people like that, that's who you're going to be. So decide who you want to surround yourself with, go find those people, and then take action.
Awesome. Great advice. So Austin, if people want to find you, if they want to reach out to you, how can they find you? How can they find your podcast?
Yeah, so the podcast is on all platforms, including YouTube at The Passion First Podcast. Would love a review, a subscribe, reach out to me. You can also find me on social media, Austin James Hartley, on all major platforms except Twitter, because I'm not getting in that cesspool. And then you're welcome to email me or contact us at our website at thehartleyteamrealty.com. Would love to help in any way I can. I appreciate you having me on, Jon. It was great getting to talk to you a little bit more and get to know you. And I'm looking forward to some more in-person events so we can meet in person soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. Love
Absolutely.
Your stories. Love meeting you. Love talking to you. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Take care.